Hi everyone, this is Barbara Beckman. Thank you for watching. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm painting a picture or a pet portrait of this beautiful little Yorkie, and he is a commission painting that I received from somebody who is intending on giving the portrait to her father-in-law as a gift. Now apparently the dog and the father-in-law are inseparable, so it's going to be a really nice surprise for him, and I hope I was able to capture this little guy's spirit. So I started out by doing a quick sketch of him, and when I started to sit down I realized that the picture was quite blurry. Um, he always sleeps in this spot apparently, so they really wanted to have him painted from this particular location, and I totally get that. I have 4 dogs of my own, so I know they each have their own little place and they go there daily and it becomes part of them and who they are. So it was really important to make sure he was on this beautiful hardwood floor. The picture was really difficult to see. I didn't have any real great details in his eyes or his nose or his face. And I started to realize pretty quickly that the picture was quite gray. There was a lot of, it was just very dull. There wasn't any life to the picture. And being an artist, I am able to change things up. Since I've been painting so long, I've definitely developed that skill. But if you're early on when you're learning how to do things like this, you tend to just paint what you see. I still paint a lot of what I see, but I'm blessed and thankful that I have the ability to add some colors to brighten this little guy up. But I still needed something to look at. I didn't know what his true colors were. So I contacted the woman who commissioned this, and she sent me a picture of him in the father-in-law's arms, which was adorable. But the problem I found there was it was taken outside, and it had a lot of sunshine on it, so it was very, very vibrant. So I still didn't have a real true indication of what his coloring would be inside on this hardwood floor. So I was able to kind of not make it so bright like in the sunshine and not make it so dull as you saw up here in the reference photo. So I had to kind of find a happy medium in between. So she told me there was a lot of caramel brown colors in his face, and I was just lucky enough that I had owned a Yorkie for 12, 13 years. So I'm very familiar with Yorkies. So I was able to reflect back on my little guy Freedom, who is no longer with us, and remember all his beautiful colorings under his beard and around his eyes and nose. So I was able to draw inspiration from Freedom and remember, his beautiful caramel colors. So I used the picture to sketch the portrait out of him sitting on these beautiful floors, and I started out to try to just block in some of my values. Let me tell you a little bit about what I'm using here to create this little guy. I'm using 2 different kind of colored pencils. They're both professional quality, high-grade pencils. They are both wax-based pencils, and they provide a nice, soft, creamy wax that I'm able to blend out with mineral spirits, and it helps distribute the pigment on the paper, causing a nice, smooth finish. And it also allows me to do a lot of layering to get the dimension that I need and all the coloring and shadowing, and they're both very creamy, rich, pigmented colors. So that's why I use them. So the first pencils I'm using, I'll talk about, are the Prismacolors. Now, they have been around forever, and they were my first go-to pencil. They're the ones that I actually learned on back in the 80s. And I still love them. I know there's a little bit of some controversy about them breaking, and that the company had changed the way that they were made, and they're not exactly perfectly, I guess that the lead is not perfectly positioned in the barrel, which is causing some breakage. But I don't have a problem at all with these. They sharpen well for me. They still apply the same way that they've always applied, nice and creamy, and I can get some really beautiful, rich, pigmented colors. So they're usually my go-to pencil. I also use Caran D'Ache Luminance pencils. Again, same type of pencil. They're also wax-based, and I love the way they layer. I love the vibrancy of all the colors that they have, and I love how the 2 work together. So I'm using, for this particular painting, I'm using Mona Lisa colorless, odorless rather, and colorless paint thinner, and I also use Gamsol a lot. So the two of them are basically the same. I really can't tell the two products apart, and if you covered my eyes, I really probably wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. They would probably react exactly the same to me. So I grab whichever one is on sale or whichever one I can grab easily in my art studio. And this particular one, I use the Mona Lisa. So what I do is I apply very light washes or very light applications of pigment down first. And I do it in several steps. I'm not burnishing the paper. And what I mean by that is I'm not pushing hard at all. When you burnish the paper, you're really setting that pigment in stone, and you will not be able to apply any other pigment on top of that. So you're burnishing it. You're damaging the tooth of the paper, so it will not accept any more pigment. So you have to be really careful when you work with any colored pencil of when you start burnishing things and when not to burnish things. So I start out with a very, very light hand, and I use many, many different colors to achieve the effects that I'm using here. I probably have 15 pencils in my hand, so I'm constantly picking and choosing different ones to get me to where I'm going. I don't list the colors that I've used, and I do that for one reason. If you're going to pull your Yorkie up, or your Beagle, or your, Great Pyrenees, or whatever you're painting, a lion, whatever have you, you're going to be picking out different colors. So if you were to paint, your Yorkie, your coloring is going to be completely different depending on where, the light's hitting, the coloration of the dog. So I don't bother listing all the colors that I use unless you are, going to be painting this particular one. And again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this guy. I had to change his face because he was, or the colorations in his face, because he was just dull. It was a cell phone picture, I'm imagining. It was out of focus. It wasn't as vibrant and as beautiful as his colors would generally be if you were with him in person. So I had to grab different colors as I worked, and to try to achieve that nice, beautiful caramely colors and those deep, rich undertones that are all around his beard and under his eyes and around his hair. Yorkies get that puppy cut, and they have a lot of different layers of hair, and they really have hair. It's really almost like human hair. It's definitely not like fur at all. So I needed to be able to get these beautiful shines to their fur. They have a lot of like oil in their fur to make them so shiny and silky. So these pencils were the perfect choice for me to paint this portrait. These are my go-to pencils when I do people portraits as well. I find that I can get very, very wonderful details in the eyes and eyelashes, and just the smallest amount of details where I need them to be. And the pencils are the best way for me to get them there. Now I certainly can paint this with oil or acrylic, but because it's fur, these are my go-to pencils to create pet portraits. I liked having the individual furs there and strands of hair, and again, you can do this also with paint. It's just that I just enjoy this medium. I think because I've sketched so long, I've been sketching all my life since childhood, sketching the trees, the cars, the birds, anything, telephone poles, telephone wires, rocks, leaves, anything that I could find on my street as a little girl. That's what I would rather do than anything else. So I developed those sketching skills very early on. So if you have really good sketching skills and you enjoy sketching, colored pencils are really a great medium for you to learn, and you'd really, really be able to pick up on it quickly and get quite good quite soon. It's not a hard medium to work with by any means. It's just patience, and it's a little tedious. It's a lot of different layering, and I like to work in sections. I do like to start out with the eyes because I feel that the eyes are like windows to the soul of the animal. So once I make the connection, it no longer just becomes a sketch on a piece of paper. I start to actually see and feel this animal. It's very hard to explain it to somebody. I think some other artists understand that, especially those who paint pictures, because once you add the eyes on anything, you start to almost get a breath of life in them. So it's really wonderful. So these colored pencils are, the way that I love to work on these. They come out just magnificent. I'm able to create this beautiful mahogany floor with these dark, rich colors that they provide. They're nice pigmented, saturated colors, and they come in so many different color options. But you'll see as I work on the floor, I did speed it up because I didn't want to bore you and spend so much time. I'm going to be putting some of these up on Patreon and actually giving more detailed instruction and showing you in real time how I do things. But for these quick YouTube videos, I basically started out actually sending clients to them to see my artwork, so they would feel confident and comfortable in hiring me to capture their picture or their portrait. 'Cause a lot of times they send me, wedding pictures and things like that that are near and dear to their heart, or pictures that they had years ago that were perhaps ruined. There's a lot of photography things that you can do out in the market now, where professional photographers can take out stains and stuff like that. But a lot of people like to have portraits, so I started to use YouTube just to showcase my work and my ability and what I could do. So that's how it really started. And then I started getting questions from other artists how to do this, and why did you do it this way or whatever. So I've kind of have the best of both worlds there, where people do find me on YouTube and they do seek me out to commission a painting, and I also can still link these paintings to potential clients in the future. So it's great, and I'm meeting a lot of artists along the way that are just learning. Younger artists like where I was several years ago. Do I want to say 30 years ago? I've been doing colored pencils for probably 35 years. Now I'm dating myself. But yeah, so I'm meeting wonderful upcoming artists that are just starting to get their feet wet and dabbling with this medium. And I love the questions that I'm getting, and I love being able to share and teach them things that I learned. Now, we're going to all do things differently, so I tell people all the time, if you can create something on your own and use your own particular style or a way of getting to the same place, then by all means do what you're comfortable with and do what works for you. And that's exactly how I learned. I always kind of thought outside the box. I don't like to follow anybody. I'm definitely not a follower by nature. And I like to experiment with pigments and see what they do on my own. I think that's why I love mixed media so much, is because I'm taking two art mediums that might not necessarily go together and creating an explosion and making them kind of work. So I love art in general, and I hope you can see that through my videos. I do post a lot of different things. I just don't post colored pencil portraits. I try to post some things like this that I'm actually working on, and this is a commission picture, so it's something that's on my schedule and it's scheduled in. I do commissions all week long. I do a lot of house portraits for realtors. I do a lot of dogs, which I totally love. They're one of my favorite things to do. I have 4 dogs of my own, so totally near and dear to my heart. I just love them. And I like the fact that this is going to somebody for a birthday present, and this is something that he loves, and he'll cherish this. People love their dogs. Their dogs become family to them, or their cats, any animal. And if you don't own an animal, then you really can't understand that. I have a lot of my friends that they just don't have any animals. And I go in their house, it's so quiet. And I just need to have the noise. I like the interaction of them all day long. I do have more animals than most people, and I get that. And you'll hear in the background on occasion. They're quiet now, but I have 3 birds in this house. I have 1 parrot, and I have 2 parakeets. The 2 parakeets came here in December for my daughter's 9th birthday. She's a little afraid of my parrot, and I tried to start her out with a little itty bitty guys to get her used to it, but they're so fast and quick that she's still a little bit uneasy and afraid of them. But they talk all day long. They have each other. They're great little birds, but you'll hear them all the time. Speaking of birds, that's really how I started using color pencils in the first place. I remember back in the 80s, I had a bird, Sherman, and he was a blue parakeet. I totally loved him, and I wanted to paint him, and I didn't have the money to buy paint. It was just not something that I could easily get. I was young, just starting out in my art career, and somebody gave me a box of colored pencils that they had. They were professional quality Prismacolors, and they really didn't use them. They were like, I don't know what to do with them. I don't really draw. So I became addicted back then, and I saw the potential of what they had. And once you start learning how to really use the medium, and you add your mineral spirits to it, they are just an amazing, amazing medium. So if you like sketching, definitely try these. Definitely, they produce wonderful, high quality, professional paintings, and they have a great light fast rating, and these will be around for a long time. They're not going to fade. They don't wash off. Um, if you damage the tooth of the paper while you're working, and if you burnish something too soon, there are fixatives that you can spray over this and add some more pigment on top of it. It just kind of adds a little bit more of the tooth back to the paper. So there are tricks of the trade. If you're learning and you make a mistake, you can rebound from most of these things. So let me tell you a little about what I'm doing now. I'm just going ahead and putting some shadow underneath him, giving him a nice foundation to sit on. And now I'm going to go back and finish his beautiful brown and black and gray kind of coat that's behind the Yorkie. Their front paws are usually like a blondish kind of caramely color and matches their face. And then it beautifully fades into this black and gray area on their back. He actually looks quite a bit like my Freedom. They're great dogs too. They have wonderful personalities. And when you're painting, at least for me, I try to really look at the picture. And this particular Yorkie was just adorable, looking straight at the camera. You could tell he was loved. You can tell that he's just a treasured family member. And I really wanted to work hard at capturing that little spirit of his, especially since it's for somebody's birthday who absolutely adores this little dog. So this was a great choice for me to use in creating this. So I hope this birthday boy really enjoys his portrait for many years to come, and I hope that when he sees it and passes it by on the wall or wherever he's going to be putting it, that it makes him smile. So I like the fact that these aren't super realism where they don't look like a photograph. You certainly can produce really high quality, almost photographic looking paintings from these, or from any medium, for most mediums, like your professional high quality oils, obviously, some acrylics. I've seen some beautiful work, but I've seen some amazing work with colored pencil that really looks like a photograph. But for me, I like to definitely get it so it looks like the animal or the person, and definitely get as realistic as possible without making it look like a photograph. I like the fact that it looks like a hand-painted picture. That's just my preference. I think that's what I love about being an artist, is that you can tell the difference, and there is a huge difference, and I love that. So I think I created that by using these. Here I am going ahead after I blocked out all the base colors in him. This is when I blend it all out with my mineral spirits. I get a good set foundation underneath me, or an underpainting, and this is where I have a lot of fun creating all that hair. This is where it takes a lot of time, and it is quite tedious. I go ahead strand by strand and add each individual hair in. And if you see here, I'm pulling the hair out onto over the paws onto the floor, kind of the floor area. And that's going to create that three-dimensional look, and it's not going to look like a flat sticker per se, or something flat. So these are great, and they create a lot of different wonderful textures, and you're able to get a lot of detailed lines in here with the colored pencils. I totally love them. So I think that anybody starting out with portraits, or if you have painted portraits and you got quite good at that, you should definitely try these too. It's a different way of approach to doing them, but it's so wonderful, and the outcome's always like super great. I really enjoyed painting this little guy. As you can see here, I'm getting in tight around this collar with some of these black details, and he has this little symbol on his collar there. It had some writing underneath it, but she told me it was okay not to add that. I couldn't see what it said anyway, so it would have really looked like black scribble if I had tried to put it in there anyway. But I love that the symbol is there, and it just makes it personal to him. I really love that. If you can take something personal and add it there, like a name on a collar, or I did one time a beautiful Dalmatian who had passed away, and it was a gift from a friend who they knew that the family was just quite devastated about this dog passing. I think it was a younger dog, and it always had a red ball wherever it went. And they didn't have a picture for some reason, or she couldn't get it. I think she just couldn't get it, and it was a surprise painting. And I was able to paint a little red ball in the picture, and the family just saw the red ball and started crying, because it was just so true to what this Dalmatian was like. It just kind of captured who he was. So if you can add different things like that and elements into pictures and paintings, it makes them that more special and personal. So I had a lot of fun working on him. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, or anything about products I use, or even things you would like me to do, I'm not just a colored pencil artist. I I do a lot of different things. For my business, primarily, I do portraits and I teach painting classes. And for fun, I love to explore with a jelly print. You'll see some of my jelly plates and printing on here because it's just a lot of fun for me, and it's something I do to kind of let my hair down. And it reminds me of who I am and why I became an artist in the first place. So my channel has a lot of different things on it. It's not just going to be about colored pencils or art journaling or jelly printing. It's definitely got a lot of different things, just because when I started doing this, I wanted to always be my true authentic self as an artist, and I wasn't going to compromise who I was as an artist or a person because of YouTube. So that's why my channel has so many things. I just love art and creating, and I love sharing it with all of you. So if you're looking for something specific or something that I've done, like just jelly printing per se, go on to, YouTube, onto my name, click on it, and then just go to the videos that apply just to the jelly printing. It's as simple as that. So you can still keep me subscribed on there and just kind of weed out the videos that you want to watch. And if you want to learn something new, great, watch something that you may not have any knowledge in or any experience in, and give it a try. So I thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would love new subscribers. I think it's nice to reach out to as many people as possible. And I love feedback. So, shoot me an email if you don't like what I'm doing, or if I'm talking too much, or if I'm not explaining myself, or if I'm bouncing all over the place. It is quite hard to kind of sit in a room and talk to your video by yourself. It's not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather much be sitting behind my easel with some art products. But I want to bring these to you, and I want to bring these to clients so they can see my ability, and it does get me future work. So it's the best of both worlds. I'm trying to juggle it all. So yeah, leave me comments. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if you like this cute little guy that I worked so hard on here. He's absolutely adorable. Happy birthday to the birthday boy, and it was great spending the 20 minutes with you. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and check back soon. I'll have more videos posted in the near future. Have a great day. Thanks again. Bye.